We are getting to the next topic now, and obviously this weekend is the hot contest of the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New England Patriots. Hot contest. You can take either I was being sarcastic, or generally we may burn our fingers on how much of a trash fire this could may be. But it's okay because we're going to see Drake May for the first time, like in person in London. It's going to be fantastic. But we're going to focus a little bit more on the Jags, and I know we've talked about the Jags a little bit and Chicago as well in the shows, yesterday with the show that I did with the Monday Night Show with Sky, and also Ben Isaac, who guested on that last night. And that was a really good, fun show. So make sure you go check that out. But, 35-16 loss, James, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's been bandied around now. How long is it before the Jacksonville Jaguars maybe feel that Doug Pederson isn't the guy to move forward with? I mean, they lost to the Dolphins, they've lost to the Browns, the Bills, the Texans. They did beat the Colts, but they always seem to beat the Colts in that weird game.
Yeah.
They're very middle in the pack in their offense. The 21st best offense, 16th in passing yards, same in touchdowns as well, 15th in rushing yards. But then on the other side of it, defensively, 31st defense in the league at the minute, 32nd in passing yards, 1,660, and allowed 14 touchdowns, only one pick. I mean, we've already had it once with one coach in London. Does it feel like if they don't get a win against the Patriots this weekend, that this might be something that Doug gets back to in Florida?
He could even be flying himself home at this rate, if he doesn't get a win. I feel sorry for him because before he got there, the Jags are in such a bad place. One of the worst coaching jobs we've ever seen in the NFL. And just everything just on the field, off the field. It was just awful. And Doug Pederson was absolutely the right guy to bring in to just steady the ship and go, okay, let's just settle things back down. And he did. He did exactly that. He brought in decent players. He got them a decent record. They made the playoffs, and it's just not working now. And this just does seem to be a Doug Pederson thing. It kind of happened in Philly as well, where he had the highest of highs and then really just struggled after that. Like, I don't know if it's that he's a massive, like a divisive guy in the locker room, or he always seems okay on the podium, but he is very frosty as well a lot of the time if it's not going right. And you just think, is this perhaps more to do with his personality than his style of coaching? That especially younger guys, because he's one of the older coaches in the league now. I mean, obviously he's not, Pete Carroll was old, but a lot of very young offensive-minded coaches in the league at the moment, and so he does represent the older age bracket, if you like. And are the young guys really buying into him? Can he relate to them? Is he surrounding himself with the right people to get the right buy-in from everyone else? He hasn't progressed Trevor Lawrence like we thought he could do. Lawrence, again, is just one of these guys at the moment where you just keep waiting. You see flashes and you wait and you think, okay, it's gonna come now. It's starting, and then it's awful again. I mean, I remember being in London a few years ago, and I watched him against the Russell Wilson-led Broncos. And I thought, I'll cream the Broncos. This will be no problem. And they've lost, and they were awful. And he just looked devoid of ideas. And they'd still look that way now. And he's got to win this game. He really has. And London should be the place for the Jags, obviously, like their second home, where they come here, they're used to the travel, they're used to the training, they're used to the time difference and when they play and the kind of climate that's going to be in and all that sort of stuff. So we should be winning more of these games, but they just aren't. They're like Guinness; they just don't travel well, it's just, I don't know. I think if he doesn't win this, he's really, really struggling, and it wouldn't surprise me if shortly after the game you found out that it was done. I mean, he might as well just, if it's not looking good at half time, he might as well just throw all caution to the wind and just go Mac Jones revenge game and see if he can just do anything at all. And I don't know, it just feels like something crazy could happen if it's not going his way. Like he is a bit of a toys out the pram kind of dude, I think.
It might be a bit weirdly his saving grace of going like, we're in a bind here. This is my job. We're in London. If we can do some crazy plays and pull something out of the bag, and I don't know, just make it really exciting. Even if they lose, because it's in London, it can be a bit like, well, it was in London. Yeah, we are used to it, but it's not really our home and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. It's
but they're not even good in their own home, so.
Well,
I don't know. What they might as well do this at the moment, because just looks such a lackluster offense, is they might as well just get the offensive minds together and just go, okay, how many trick plays can we draw up? Jet sweeps, motions, using receivers as running backs and running backs as receivers, and bringing in fullbacks and loading up on tight ends, and just anything, like even, put Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence on the field at the same time, anything, just have them play keep ball down the middle of the field or something, just anything ridiculous that could happen. Now feels the time to just go deep in the playbook and just get anything out there that might work, that just makes them a little bit more interesting. But I just kind of thought that would have happened already. Like this first week in London was prime for that. I think going to these weird situations is a great time to experiment and do something unusual. I remember seeing the Rams do it against the Bengals a few years ago, using like a lot of motion when Goff was still there with Kupp and Woods, and they had an amazing play. And they never really did it again at home. And it's just like, I don't know, this is a weird vibe and a weird environment.
They're lacking creativity, aren't they? I think that, like, you're right in that they are lacking creativity in what they're doing. And yeah, it's going to be a bit tough. Johnny, if he was to go, who do you think of anyone that would replace him? So Bill Belichick, maybe?
Is the name that everyone seems to be talking about. I mean, I don't know. I'm not convinced that Bill would come in straight away mid-season into a dysfunctioning team. Both sides of the ball.
Considering how bad their defense is,
yeah,
I know he's only just gone, but is Salah a candidate? Do you think maybe?
Ooh. No, I think
I don't know, man.
I think that's probably too soon. He's going to be the next defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm convinced of it. But I don't know. I think I was just been looking at some names, of who could be like the long term. Obviously, Belichick is very heavily convinced. The usual suspects of offensive coordinators, the likes of Ben Johnson. We know how much he's been a creative mastermind. Obviously, stayed back in Detroit a year. He's going to be due. He will be a head coach in the NFL next year. I think so. This seems like a decent opening. Obviously, with the quarterback who potentially develop. Just looked at Cliff Kingsbury as well, which I found quite interesting because obviously we know how good he's been at developing young quarterbacks as an offensive coordinator. He's doing it again with Jaden Daniels.
I think Cliff in Washington, the minute, though Dan Quinn is the head coach, I feel it's like, Cliff, that offense is yours, man. You go crazy with Jaden. I've got the defense. I'll get that. It almost does feel like a bit of a partnership, doesn't it, in a way?
That is the issue, yeah. That was obviously the case in Arizona, which ultimately led to what became a bit of a car crash for that franchise, which they're only just recovering from. I really don't know. I mean, it just screams, the Jets, the Jags are going to be cleaning, not just the front office, but the whole house. I think in terms of players. I don't know. Watching the game on Saturday, Lawrence obviously isn't looking like an elite quarterback, but he really wasn't helped out by his receivers. I think the amount of drops from the receivers in key positions was a big takeaway for me at the game. So it's everywhere. The defense is terrible. Obviously, they've drafted Brian Thomas, who looks good, but there's no one else. Travis Etienne is injured and hasn't been productive.
Been a bit tank Bigsby's been really impressive.
Yeah, let's get him in. But I don't know. There's nothing really seemingly exciting about this Jags team at the moment. I think they're just still clinging on to the hope that Trevor Lawrence will, still become the top 10, or the elite guy that he is. I don't think he's anywhere near that at the moment.
They've got to. They've paid him. They've paid him like
exactly,
that. But why? I can't. That's such a confusing thing for me, and I don't mean to go off topic. I cannot understand what led them to that decision. I think it was just a lack of other options more than anything else. Like, they knew they had to pay him something at some point, but it's just way overpaid. It's so difficult to move on at the moment.
I think this is going to be a debate for another day, because I cannot tell you how wrong I think you are. I think Lawrence is very, very good. I know he hasn't really proven it just yet, but I don't disagree that he is and that he has the potential. I just don't think we've seen it enough to justify what was paid at the time, given their need in other positions for other things and everything else. But yeah, like you say, let's not go too far off. That could be said for the same thing in Dallas, couldn't it, as well?
Hugely so, yeah. Talking about Belichick before, he's got to be on Jerry Jones's #1 speed dial at the moment. Like Mike McCarthy must just feel Belichick's eyes burning into him or something. They've got to go young, though, if they go coach, I think, this time around. They've tried a couple of older hands and experience, and it hasn't worked both times, really.
He screams this is a culture problem, because, the Jaguars, I think at the start of last season, people were telling them, saying, they are a top 3 team in the AFC, and they've just stank ever since then. So, I think
I like Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson's a really good shout. That could be a really good idea.
It seems logical that this will be an opening. He's going to be someone who's going to be a head coach.
He's going to be the number one name, isn't he, that people go after, I think.
Yeah, and he's going to be the Detroit, the one that Detroit is going to be really sad to see. To see go, I think, potentially at the end of next year. Right, I think that's really all we have time for this evening. James, Johnny, thank you very much again for joining me and for chatting, obviously, about both of your teams this evening, which is obviously really nice as well, because it's nice to talk about your teams. Obviously, me and Johnny won't. Well, I suppose not either. Me and Johnny, obviously,
you've been very kind and not even mentioned the game at the weekend either.
Well, you did have to. You brought it up, so it's again. Topics for another conversation, another show, I am sure. Johnny, obviously, I won't be your friend as of like 6 o'clock on, whatever the kickoff time is. So I like you, but then that will obviously all change. But yeah, Johnny James, thank you for joining me again. Make sure you catch the rest of our content that is coming out this week. We have the college show. We also have the betting show coming later in the week. And like I said, we will be doing a lot of the media and stuff over this weekend for the Jacksonville Jaguars and New England Patriots game that is happening at Wembley. Make sure you follow us on our YouTube channel and keep an eye on our social media for all the fun, crazy activities that we will be doing. It should hopefully be a bit more of an enjoyable game than people are making it out to be. But if you see any of us knocking around this weekend in London or at Wembley, please don't hesitate, come and say hello to us. We always love meeting friends of the show, fans of the show, and other NFL like-minded fans as well. So until then, enjoy your rest of your week and have a great day on Sunday if you are going.